Hello everyone. Today it's not going to be a product review, at least not a commercial product review, because this bike is custom built. It's do-it-yourself and it's a fully electric bike. Of course it still has the pedals and the gearings, but here is the motor, and it's the almighty Bafang. It's the BBS HD version with 1000 watts of power, and this thing will output 1000 watts constantly, but when you fully throttle it up, it can go up to 1.5 kilowatts of power. And you may say that is not a lot, because this can be beaten easy by a dual motor scooter with power ranging from 2400 watts up to 5000 watts and things like that. Well, this motor also has an internal gearing that increases the torque, and this thing here produces up to 160 newton meters of torque. It's the same amount you get on some cars, so that's amazing for a bike motor, and it uses the bike chain and gearing. Let's now talk a bit about the bike. So it's a Trek Marlin 7, a 29er, 29-inch wheels, and it has a front shock which is adjustable, and it also has a locking option, and that makes it really nice as you can adjust it by the way you ride it. And the rest of the frame, it's a hardtail or whatever you call this. It doesn't have a rear suspension, and it uses hydraulic brakes, Tektro. Both front and rear are disc brakes. It uses a comfort seat here which has springs and makes it really pleasant to ride. And this thing is not built for speed, but actually is built for endurance, and the endurance comes from this huge battery pack. It's a 72 volt nominal battery with 17.5 amp hours capacity, and this will give you a lot of range, and you can easily do over 150 kilometers with it in assistant mode, something like 50-50. You can do even more or less if you really want to go fast. And when I say fast, this thing, even though it's not a racer, can go up to 50-60 kilometers per hour without any kind of issues. So it's time to take it for a ride, and I'll explain you more about it while we ride it. So I'm going to start the cycle computer, and it's the color display. You have 9 gears here from which you can choose. So you have first gear, second gear, and up to 9th gear. The gears will directly control the top speed by controlling the motor speed and power, while you also need to use the shifter here like on a car. So if you want to start from standing still, you need to be in low gear, and you need to progress the gears, do gear changes like on a rear car to go faster and faster and faster. Doing a combination such as maximum motor power with lowest gear and starting from standstill, you can actually break the chain, destroy the gearing or things like that, and it also be very stressful for the motor, which will try to use all the power to pull the wheel, to pull the chain, and it will be very hard for it because it's on the lowest gear. So you need to keep that in mind. You need to ride this like you are driving a car. May sound complicated, but it's actually not. So I'm on third gear right now. That's enough for starting up, and I'm going to use only third gear here to have a gentle start. So this is assisted and it starts right away. It has a wheel sensor, and when you pedal it will automatically enhance your power. Right. And this is really pleasant. It has just a small amount of delay from when you pedal and for when it stops, and that's really nice. It will not just jump from under you. And here I also have the thumb throttle. If I press this, it will automatically start the motor and it will accelerate up to the limit of the gear that I have selected. And when you are not pedaling or not using the throttle, this will coast, and it will coast very nice. It absolutely has no resistance from the motor. This is a huge advantage of using geared motors. Because this combination of gearing will not put any kind of drag resistance. So when you let go of the throttle, it's just like a regular bike. It doesn't have any cogging, any kind of things to make it work hard. So that's an advantage, as you save power, a lot of power, when you go downhill or simply stop pedaling to take a short break. So I'm pedaling and now I'm letting it go, as the speed stays rather constant without using any kind of motor power, and that's very good for the overall range. But let's put this to a real test, and I won't do it any kind of justice by strolling into the park with it. So I need to go out somewhere to unleash the motor. Until then, let's do some gear changes. So I'm going to increase the gearing, and this also has a gear shift sensor, and it will stop the motor temporarily to allow it to change the gears without trying to rev it too hard. And now I'm on the top gear. So let's see what we can do now. I'm going to go to directly gear 9. Whoa, and that's some really nice acceleration. And that was a real blast. So I was getting something like over 40 kilometers per hour just by using the throttle and changing some gears without any kind of pedal effort, and that was impressive. The acceleration is really hard, so it tends to do a wheelie, so you need to hold it very nice. The torque delivery, it's brutal on that level, and you are going to lose the front wheel steering So never throttle it very hard when you are going to take a turn. And now, like a normal car, I'm going to go toward the lowest gear and wait for the green light to start. And we are off. And that was 60 kilometers per hour, and it did that rather fast. And I'm also carrying a rather heavy bag full of equipment, and that was impressive to get all that speed that fast. And I didn't even change the gears properly. And now we are going to repeat the test, but it's going to be uphill, and I wonder what this can do uphill. And I'm doing 45 now, 43. I'm going to start increasing the gear. That was the last gear going up, so it was kind of hard on the motor, but it did very well. And now I'm going to repeat the test downhill. And that was again over 60 kilometers per hour going downhill, and it seems that I'm heavily limited by the gearing, as the shifter is not going to the lowest gear possible, and that takes some of the speed, as the motor will simply top out its speed rotation. It reaches the maximum and it stops there, because it doesn't have any more speed available to push you faster. So with a higher gearing you can go even more faster than that. And I also like it very much on the assisted mode. You can put some effort into it and it feels nice. You feel like a bionic man. It gives you the feeling that you have super strength as you push the bike, but the bike pushes also, and you get really nice speed and acceleration, and that's impressive. I really like that. Also, the brakes are really nice. Of course, they are known brakes, and it's not a scope of the review, but they work nice in conjunction with this powerful motor, so they have enough braking force to stop you from all that speed, from 50-60 kilometers per hour. You can control the brakes really good. You can modulate the braking force with no problems. You can avoid locking the wheels and still have enough stopping power for things to go smooth as planned. And let's give it another throttle. And I'm going to switch a gear, and now it's better. I'm getting the hang of it. And another gear. Doing 40 something, and now I will brake, and let's not forget to increase the gears back. And it popped the wheel there. And I'm not even on the 9th gear, I'm only on 7th gear. But that is where the mechanical gear changes count, so you always need to be in the right gear with your shifter, so you can apply all that power. And that was a glimpse of the test run, and as you can see, this thing is really fast, and it doesn't matter if you go uphill or downhill. The speed is mostly limited by the gearing, as the motor has a rather limited speed range, and you need to change the gears a lot of times. So the pros are, it's very fast, it's very economical, it has no rolling resistance, no motor cogging, so it's very economical. You can even push it with your legs, so you can cut off the electronics in case you are left without battery, and it will work almost like a normal bike, so there's no effort into carrying all that stuff. The cons is the gear shift system, so you constantly need to change gears, and usually you need something like one fixed gear there and around 8-9 gears on the rear, and you keep changing them, and you need to kind of coordinate them with your torque power set from the menu, because if you are on the highest power with the lowest gear, it will pop a wheelie if you throttle it by using the thumb throttle here. If you give it maximum, it will simply flip you around. So it has a lot of power, and it cruises up really nice, and you can use this everywhere. On a mountain, you can climb slopes, you can use it in the city, do errands with it, even on longer trips between cities you can commute with it, and that is really nice, and it's very pleasant, and it doesn't needs a lot of effort in carrying all that stuff, while you can also still pedal with your legs in case you want to do some real physical effort. Another thing needed to be done urgently on this bike is to have a longer chain, because this one is at maximum and you can actually not use the lowest gear. You can use the third and sometimes the second gear, but you cannot use the first gear because the chain is simply not long enough, and also the system is not working in top shape and you cannot go to the lowest gear, which limits your speed. So you can, as you can have seen in my video, you cannot go above 65 kilometers per hour, not even going downhill, because simply the motor reaches its top RPM and you are in the lowest gear that I was in, the lowest gear that was available at that moment, while the motor could not spin any faster, but it did had power to spin a lower gear, which I didn't have. And that was it for now. I hope that you have enjoyed this review of do-it-yourself electric trek bike, and in case you have any kind of questions, let me know. Probably you are going to ask the price and how to install this kind of system. Well, the price varies between around $700 and can go up to $1,200, $1,300, and that depends on some optionals like the extra shift sensor there, which makes it very easy to change gears, the size of the battery in case you get a kit that includes a battery, and also this gear is very important. There are several type of gears. There's a lower geared one and a higher tooth number gear, and you can match that with your rear gearing and the scope of your bike. Using a lower gear here, it will give you more power, more torque. You can go uphill easier, while using a larger one will give you more speed, but usually going with a higher option is worth in case you are using it on not a mountain bike but on a lighter bike, such as a race bike or something like that. And with that said, please give me a thumbs up in case I worth it. Consider subscribing for watching more reviews, and until my next video, see you and bye bye.